Hey guys, Insane Mike here from Attack of the Killer Podcast. Time for another video. Gonna do something a little different this time around, and I'm gonna talk about special effects. See, not only am I a podcaster, but I'm also a filmmaker, and my main passion in filmmaking is directing. But I dabble in a little bit of everything. You know, I write, I edit. But I really started getting into the art of filmmaking as a special effects artist. I attended the Art Institute of Pittsburgh for their special makeup effects program. And even though directing is still my main passion, I still dabble quite a bit in special makeup effects, not only for my own projects, but for other people's projects as well. So I want to show you a few props left over for some films that I've done special effects on. Now, the way I do it is a lot of times I have no money for special effects, whether it be my own project or other people's projects. I have very little money to work with, so I got to be inventive and use different resources to achieve the effect that I want to achieve. So some of the stuff may look like pretty cheap and cheesy, but still is effective in the films. So first off, this is an effect that I made of like a severed off hand piece where you put it on if your hand is chopped off, and you got the stump here. It does have some holes here for tubing to squirt blood through it. This is based off of an idea I had dating all the way back to movies I made in high school. And what it is made out of, we have a sculpted like stump here with bones and whatnot and gore, but the base of the whole thing itself is a Pringles can. And so this is based off an idea that I had dating all the way back in high school, where we did a similar effect. We used the Pringle can back in those days for two things. The first off, for the actual chopping off of the hand effect. Of course, obviously, back in high school, where there was literally no money, our special effects was the actor had to wear winter gloves, so that the effect was we take the Pringles can, we fill it full of fake blood, and we put the glove on top of the Pringles can. Then they would swing the machete or axe or whatever and knock that, and the inertia of the blade hitting that would cause you to kind of whip this back and forth, spilling the blood everywhere. So that's how we would chop off the hand. And then we would reverse it and put this on over their hand with gore on the end of it for the actual after effect of the hand being chopped off. Now this is one that I've used in some of my movies with prescribed films. I think we've used this in the movie The Bagman and in my movie Demonica. And what I really like about this effect is, like, first of all, again, it's super cheap, but I've seen in many movies where somebody has had their hand chopped off and they have the stump on the end, but you could still see at times where they have their wrist bent. And that always bothers me. It really takes me out of the effect. So with the Pringles can, it's not comfortable. It's uncomfortable as hell to be wearing a Pringles hand over your hand for a Pringles can over your hand for hours. But it keeps you from wiggling that wrist. And granted, the other thing that has always bothered me is, obviously, my arm is now magically longer than when my hand was there. So we always make our actors kind of tuck their elbow back, kind of back behind them a little bit, to kind of take away that illusion as well. So, so yeah, this, like I said, this particular one we've used in a couple films. So it's been beat up pretty bad. We even had to cut the side of it because one actor's hand was too big to fit in the Pringles can, so we had to chop it up a bit. Yeah, so. This is one I love and have used many times in the course of my filmmaking career. So another one, a short film that we did called It Came From Johnson. There was an alien birthing scene where, oh man, fit anymore. Where this baby alien pops out of a guy's chest, and we had built a fake wall, and there's like webbing and stuff that covers the body when it's attached to the wall. So all we had to do is make it look like there was a body there underneath all this webbing. We cut this big hole in the front and popped out the alien baby. And I made the alien baby, and this is him right here. It's pretty crude. It's mostly like cotton and foam and latex, like foam pieces for these little spiky things on its head, little marbles for the eyeballs, and then just pieces of wood shaved into teeth. They're actually quite sharp and can hurt you, but that's the teeth. And it was kind of a rush job, so it wasn't like I sculpted it and went from there and made a mold or anything. I just literally built this thing up from scratch and made it like this. So like I said, it's pretty crude, not 100% how I wanted it to turn out, but it was pretty effective in the final film. It probably looks better maybe this side. A lot of the paint, the blood from the chest bursting eventually corroded the paint job on it. But the ultimate kicker on this thing, it's a sock puppet. It's a straight up sock puppet. You can see here on the end that I just took an old sock and I built this whole thing up off of an old sock. So there we go. A film that I was hired to do, I had to do a couple of severed fingers. Now this is probably way more of an elaborate professional job that I've done, where I actually sculpted some fingers and made casts out of that sculpt. Now the problem is how I would want to do it properly is get that actor and make a mold from his hand, but in extreme independent filmmaking, you don't always get that luxury, especially when you're hired on to do a job for somebody else. I don't get to meet. A lot of times, I don't even get to meet the actors that I'm doing this stuff on till the day of, which is definitely not the way to go. But these are two fingers that I built, and again, the old do-it-yourself thing. The bone that's protruding out of this finger in particular, it's just a cut up drinking straw. So, and all painted up. So, another film I was hired to do, it required drilling screws into the back of somebody's neck. So we did that in a couple shots where I have a mannequin torso that is beat to hell because I've used this mannequin torso in so many effects. But I painted the back of the neck, and we could literally just drill straight into the back of that thing, and there was tubing that squirted blood out and whatnot. But then also we wanted to make sure we had a shot where we could actually see the actor with the screw in the back of their neck, and still being drilled for that fact. So what I did was I made some fake screws here. Now, again, the idea would be to make a mold of some real screws and just make some fake rubbery screws, right? As you can see, this is obviously isn't a real screw. But what I did, again, save some money and time, because time is also an issue on these type of films, is I made the screw part out of a bendy drinking straw, and then I chopped off the end of some actual screws and hot glued them to the bendy straw. So then we could have the back of the actor's neck with a drill, and I put I put some tape down and then some Dermawax so we could see flesh ripping and stuff. So we put some Dermawax there, also to kind of help protect the actor as well. And then we actually could take the drill and drill this thing. We could see it spinning around and around and around, digging into the Dermawax. So, and that's why they're not full length screws. These are the props that show sticking out of the skin. So, but they're just bendy drinking straws. So, another A music video that I did was a music video where the different classic horror icons like Freddy, Jason, and Michael Myers appear in the music video. The song's called Horror Love by the band the PBJs. So check it out. It's on the Prescribed Films YouTube page. Check it out. And for the Jason, I wanted a kind of a more of a part 6 look to him, knowing too that I wasn't going to have a whole lot of time. I couldn't make a full head mold, and no point really, because he's going to be wearing the masks. But I definitely wanted a bald, decayed back of head look of Jason. So we got this guy right here that I made, and we just applied it on. You can see it's got like a slash here. I put way too much detail in it, and how very little you see of it in the music video. And the challenge was, and I wanted to make it as simple as possible, because the challenge was we shot those scenes out in the middle of nowhere with a generator and a handful of lights. So application of this was a pain in the ass. But the whole thing is made from scratch. There was no mold made. The bald cap, the original bald cap, was made from scratch. So I made my own bald cap by taking a rubber bouncy ball that you could buy at Walmart, painted that with latex, waited for the latex to dry, pull that off for the bald cap, and then built up all this rotted goodness on top of that. So, and then the last piece I want to show you is also from my film Demonica that I wrote and directed. Now, I didn't do all the special effects for Demonica. I did very little special effects for Demonica. There was like one piece in particular that I did. That I kind of took over and said, I want to do at least this piece. And there's a scene in the movie where a demon is coming up on one of our hero characters, and the hero character takes her fist and punches it all the way through the demon's head. So, what I did is I took just a standard styrofoam head. You could buy it like any beauty shop or Hobby Lobby or any place like that. Took a wig that kind of matched the actress's hair that played the demon, and attached it to the styrofoam head. And then I hollowed out the whole head here. Here's like the front of it here, where the fist would go through. And I always put too much detail into it because you never know. You know, I always say if you're painting something, you know, paint beyond the lines of what you expect them to see, because you never know. You never know. So put a hole in there and then painted all this up all gory. The back of it, where the hand goes through, was tissue paper. Painted the same skin tone so that the fist would go through that, and like, you know, maybe if you're lucky you'd see a little skin residue on the fist or whatever. And of course the bottom is hollowed out, where we would put some tubing up through there and pump blood through that. So that's my my do-it-yourself special effects. Just kind of the tip of the iceberg of some of the stuff I've done over the years. These are probably some of my favorite props that still have managed to survive over the years, and not all of them have. I mean, I've got some other ones that I didn't show you in this video that I'm pretty proud of. We maybe save that for another video at some other time, but just kind of wanted to give you a taste of what I do for special effects. And again, like, you don't need a ton of the proper equipment or right equipment to do what you need to do for special effect. You mostly just need a creative imagination. So that's it for this video, and we will talk to you again soon. We'll hopefully you'll hear us soon on the next full episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast.